Hello, this is High Templar with my new Total War Warhammer DLC speculation video, and today I wanted to talk about Dark Elves. So the Dark Elves will be the part of the first expansion, or so I predict, based on the leaks and everything that we know so far, and it seems to be following well that path, so most likely we'll see them in the first DLC, and this DLC will be covering the High Elves, the Dark Elves and the Lizardmen. I've already covered the Lizardmen, and I've already made the expansion 1 video explaining why, how, when, how the map will look like. So if you haven't seen that video, please do, because that's basically a follow-up. And in this video I will be focusing only on the campaign for the Dark Elves. So who are the Dark Elves? Dark Elves are actually the splinter group of the High Elves, following their leader Malaket, and I will talk about him more. So those guys basically, well, the Malaket was a leader of High Elves, so to speak, but he wasn't a very nice person, then there was some infighting, and the Dark Elves had to leave. That's putting it as simple as possible, and they were basically, and they gone to the place called Nagrod, and I will show you Nagrod right now. And I will show you the Nagrod also with the basic what the campaign will be all about, those arrows. This is very important because the Dark Elves want to take over Utlan. They were thrown out of Utlan by High Elves and they want to take it back because they believe it's theirs. And they want it for themselves. They want to rule it because Malaket is the ruler of Utlan in their mind and he should have it. So that's pretty much as simple as you can put it. So Nagrod is, when they are living right now, is a very unhospitable place. It's filled with forests, some swamps, some mountains. There is this hell of lots of very small islands you can see in the south, in the east, but you won't be able to go there because this part will not be in the game maps, basically. So most likely the Rocky Mountains, or however they are called in the Warhammer universe, will be the edge of your map. And yes, this is North America, this is the Hudson Bay, you can see all of that, right? So, and the Dark Elves inhabit the place that are very much in the north of this of the Nagrod. And like I said, very unhospitable place. Very hard to live there. There was some natives living there, but Dark Elves destroyed them totally. Now pretty much no one lives there except for the Dark Elves. And the Dark Elves do not actually live in the countryside. They do focus on the 6 cities. There used to be 7 cities, but Malaket destroyed one. Long story, never mind that. So there are 6 cities that those guys are populating, and aside from this there is pretty much nothing. And yeah, basically what I believe is that you will start with one of those cities, like Karfranz only started with Aldorf, and you will have to conquer all of it. So the Tower of Cold is, I believe, the capital of the Dark Elves. And your leader would most likely be Malaket himself. And like in the Empire campaign, you would have to capture all other cities to reunite the Dark Elves, and only then you can hope to do, well, anything else really. And like I said, the land will be very unhospitable, but it's not really the main problem for the Dark Elves, because they have actually surprisingly large number of neighbors. Firstly, their neighbors will be Tilians, which landed in the south of the Nagrod, and also some Norscan settlements in the south of Nagrod, but there is also Chaos Warriors that very often attack the lands of the Dark Elves. And you might think that, well, Dark Elves are bad, Chaos are bad, maybe they are working together. Well, not really. The Malaket himself think of a good guy, But, well, come to think of, so is Sigvald the Magnificent, but those guys don't really get along too well. So, yeah, but basically, you will have those Chaos Warriors breathing on your neck, and they will be invasions from the north, and they should be, if they want to follow the lore. And yeah, they really should. And if you manage to take out the Tilans, which should be pretty small force, and Norscans, and you will also have to face the High Elves and the Lizardmen. I do believe there should be a focus on capturing Utland. I mean, obviously the campaign will have to eradicate the High Elves. Maybe in long campaign you will have to go to the other side of the world, to the Old World, and destroy Empire also. But the High Elves will be the focus of the Dark Elves, because, yeah, they want Utland back. And finally, you might also have to face Lizardmen, which no doubt will be also a dangerous force to the south. So, this is one of the defender towers that are in the north of the Dark Elves territory, and it's actually defending against Chaos Warriors and Chaos forces traveling from the north. And the guys living in those towers are not exactly the volunteers. They are basically, it's serve there or die type of deal. The Dark Elves themselves are highly militarized. They do focus on magic and fighting, although males in general cannot do magic, because Malaket is afraid of, you know, somebody will be want to be his succeed him, basically, the same way that Arthas Menethil succeeded his father. So he's very afraid of that, and males are not allowed to practice magic. Not that there aren't some males, but it's, you know, it's dangerous. Mostly females practice magic, but there are also females that are fighting. And those guys, yeah, those guys are all army, basically. There are slaves that are building everything and creating food and everything else. I will talk about that sometime later. There is some discrepancies with the Dark Elves and the land, because those guys really like fine things like Slaneshi. They really like to indulge themselves, and Naggaroth is, like I said, very hospitable. You cannot really thrive there. So yeah, that's something of a problem. Now the other thing is the fleet. We know that expansion 1, because it will be sea away from the old world, there would have to be some fleshing out of the battles. Sea battles, I mean. And the Dark Elves, I mean, every faction except for Lizardmen, High Elves do have significant fleet, and there is also Dark Elves who have significant fleet, and the pinnacle of this fleet is the Ark ships. Dark Ark ships, or Black Arks they are called. So those ships are very large, and they are used for pirating, raiding, destroying, well, name it. And they are swimming fortresses, really, nothing short of that. And I would really like to see how they are implemented, because you can see that there are already some ships implemented in the Total War Warhammer. Just go to Honganet, and you can see in the Warhammer section there is fleet section for each race, and each race has their own ships. Those guys dug it up from the database. There is only few of them, true, like 3-4 for each race, but there are some. And they would be no match for Arks, and I would really like to see how they will be implemented in the Total War Warhammer. The other thing is slaves. The Empire has their offices, the Orcs have their WA, and I would really like to see that there is some of a slave system to the Dark Elves, because it's like they focus. I mean, there are slaves in Skavenworld, true, but they are not as important as for the Dark Elves. The Black Arks are swimming all around the oceans to capture more slaves, and the slaves are being brought to Naggaroth. They are not really where cared of. I mean, they can be killed for sport basically, but they are still very important for their society because they are building everything and doing everything. So yeah, and this is the Malaket himself. There are some more art for him, like here for example, the Witch King himself. He will be the powerful caster and the melee fighter, but I won't touch on it right now. I will focus it in my Dark Elf army video. And the Dark Elf army is very interesting, having both spears and some swords and lots of range with repeating crossbows and Cold One cavalry. And this will be not identical to the Saurus Warriors cavalry, because, you know, the Grey Knights and the Mounted Yeomen are also the same, technically mounts, but horses, but they are very much different. So those guys will be also very different, and I will focus on that in the second part of this. So this will be Dark Elf army video also, and you can see some more screenshots of those cities, Dark Elf cities, and the Nagrod, how it's seen by the people who know the lore, some artists. And yeah, the Nagrod you will not be able to see all those islands. I might have mentioned that the Rocky Mountains will be your border for the map, most likely. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I might also mention the buildings. So they will most likely be buildings that are focused on your, well, fleet basically. And there are some units that are basically your connected to the fleet, like Marines, in similar way. So I would imagine those units will be recruited there, and there will be obviously some units for cavalry, for the Cold Ones, and that will be separate building train, and there will also be ones for your standard infantry, and that would all be both your melee troops, your spears, your swords, and also your range units. And I'm pretty sure there will be something connected to the slaves, as I mentioned before, and obviously some machines, war machines, because those guys also use some pretty interesting war machines. But yeah, I will cover that in more in my next video, as I mentioned before. And this will be it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos. I do lots of speculation videos and DLC analysis videos for Total War Warhammer, but I also do Let's Plays for Total War series and other games. Thank you for watching, and see you later.